What is ASP.NET? ASP.NET is a server-side scripting technology that enables scripts to be executed by an Internet server. ASP.NET is not just the next version of ASP, it is the next generation of ASP. ASP.NET allows you to use a programming language such as C# or VB.NET to build web applications more easily. With the help of ASP.NET, we can implement the OOPS concept in web application. ASP.NET uses the Common Language Runtime, otherwise known as CLR, provided by the .NET framework. This CLR manages execution of the code we write. ASP.NET code is a compiled CLR code instead of the interpreted code known as ASP. CLR also allows objects written in different languages to interact with each other. The CLR makes development of web applications quite simple. ASP.NET encourages the programmer to develop applications using an event-driven GUI paradigm, rather than using the web scripting fashion. ASP Plus is just an early name used by Microsoft when they developed ASP.NET. We will discuss more about ASP.NET in the upcoming lessons. Why we learn ASP.NET. ASP.NET has many advantages, both for the programmers and for the end users. Let's discuss some advantages that will make you the owner of a website. Backward compatibility. ASP.NET maintains the backward compatibility. It is nothing but the ability of the newer technology to work with older technology without any modification. ASP.NET supports their earlier versions of ASP, COM, COM+, and even Windows operating system. Note that the files with the extension .asp are mapped by IIS to ASP.DLL, and files with the extension ASPX are mapped to the ASP.NET_ISAPI.DLL by default. Faster web applications. Two fundamental aspects of ASP.NET are responsible for better performance, and they are: 1. Compiled code. In ASP, the code is interpreted into machine language, whereas in ASP.NET, the code is compiled into machine language. Caching. Caching is an important concept used in ASP.NET to enhance the retrieval of data. Simplicity. ASP.NET minimizes the amount of code needed to develop an application by using server-side controls and event-driven programming mode. Multiple language support. Programmers can write their code in more than 25 .NET supporting languages, including VB.NET, C# and J#.NET. Web services. ASP.NET supports the new technology of web services, which is used for access application logic and transfers the data across the Internet. Security. ASP.NET comes with built-in Windows authentication and per application configuration, so that you can be assured that your applications are secure. In this lesson, we've examined the details of why we choose ASP.NET to develop our web applications. The mentioned features make programmers want to enter in to ASP.NET. What is Internet Information Services, otherwise known as IIS, and how does it work? First off, IIS stands for Internet Information Service. IIS act as web server to get HTTP requests from clients and sends HTTP response with data contents to the client browser. IIS is a Windows component that makes it easy to publish information and bring business applications to the web. Actually, IIS includes HTTP server and FTP server with additional components for Microsoft Windows operating system. It is the world's second most popular web server in overall websites, that being right behind Apache Server. With the help of IIS, you can build administrating websites, search engine and support for writing web-based applications that access the database. Many web developers can use Microsoft's Active Server page, otherwise known as ASP, use this technology for making dynamic scripting, and also use some ActiveX controls to insert in web pages that modify the content sent back to users. It also allows us to use the following interfaces to filter the requests: ISAPI, which is Microsoft's Internet Server Application Program Interface, CGI, Common Gateway Interface, and SSI, Server Side Includes. Now let's see how the IIS will do its process. When a client browser sends a request to the ASP page, it triggers various events in the following manner. If the client wants to see the ASP page, then request posted to the web server by means of the HTTP request. Because the page has the .asp extension, the IIS 5.0 considers it as a script file and sends the file to the ISAPI extension for processing. Then, the ISAPI processes server-side directives before executing scripts. Then, the server creates the resulting HTML page and sends it back to the client. Once the client receives the ASP page, it loads any client-side objects and executes the client-side script code and displays the web page based on the HTML specification. Now, I hope you have a clear idea about IIS. In the next lesson, we're going to discuss workflow of ASP.NET. How ASP.NET application works. In this lesson, we're going to discuss how the ASP.NET application works with IIS. The web server, IIS, is responsible for processing the server-side code and presenting the output to the user or the client. Now, have a look at this diagram. When IIS first receives an HTTP request for an ASP.NET page, the web server passes the request on to ASP.NET. ASP.NET then compiles the page into a DLL file that includes the class files that support the page. Next, ASP.NET executes the DLL to create an instance of the page class. The resulting page object then processes the appropriate events and generates the HTML for the page. Finally, the HTML is returned to IIS and sent back to the browser as an HTTP response. The ASP.NET page is compiled only the first time it's requested. After that, the page is run directly from the DLL file. Now, we hope you've got a clear idea about IIS and ASP.NET application process.